All right, welcome to another episode of the Wild Strength Podcast, where we talk about all things wild and all things strength and everything in between. Today, my guests are Mike and Charles from Howl, and we are here at the Mile High Hunt and Fish Expo in Aurora, Colorado. The walk-up song that they have co-chosen is 46 and 2 by Tool, so we're going to play a snippet of that.
If you can go to the chorus, it starts off very slow now that I think of it.
Okay, all right, good to know. So we'll get it going here.
Maybe we just need to do the whole thing.
Oh, no, this is fine.
We can move forward a little bit. Oh, maybe. Why does it want to go? There you go. That's where it goes. Yeah.
That's it. That's what we want. Yeah.
I think that's a good walk-up song.
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's good stuff.
All right, that's a good one. I think that's a good song to get everything going with. Well, sweet. I'm glad to have you guys on here. If you kind of want to introduce yourselves, who you are, maybe say a little bit about what you do, what you're kind of doing with Howl, and then we'll get into some stuff.
Cool. My name is Charles Whitwam. I am the founder and president of Howl For Wildlife. We started in, I guess we're based in California, but we work nationally.
Okay.
And when I say we work, it's when a state, or I guess federally, has an issue that has to do with an anti-hunting legislation or pro-hunting legislation or conservation or habitat even based type legislation. What we do is we get sportsmen from around the United States and even in Canada and other places too, to be aware of the issues. We want to educate them on, here's what's going on, here's how it works, here's the background story, here's the experts that are involved, you can hear from them, and here's how to get involved. So what I mean by that is it could be through fundraising. It could be through contacting the decision makers that have something to do with that specific bill. So that can be at the commission level, Wildlife Commission, at the legislative level. It could be at any level of government, really, or whatever it might be. So we created software that makes it really easy for you to get in contact with all of those legislators in a really effective and efficient manner. We've seen significant positive impact from that. And we also get a lot of negativity from the anti-hunting crowd because they hate it that we have a voice.
It means it works.
It means it works, yeah.
That's
and then beyond that, we lend support. We help facilitate, for instance, in Colorado right now, there's an organization called Coloradans for Responsible Wildlife Management. Mm-hmm. They are opposing a ballot initiative, which means right now the opposition, the proponents of the ballot initiative are collecting signatures to get an anti-hunting bill through the ballot process onto the ballot in November. Well, they need all the help in the world.
Yes.
They're Colorado-based. They have a small footprint, but the consequences of the bill really affects the nation. Especially in Colorado, where so many non-resident hunters. The economic impact of 250,000, I think, non-resident hunters coming into Colorado is very significant. So, in a sense, we're all Colorado hunters when it comes to that, right? Through buying points or actually hunting here, or in the future you might want to hunt here. Beyond that, the way the anti-hunting agenda works is they just go state to state. So they're trying to get a win here in Colorado, and then they'll go to New Mexico and wherever else. We want to bring together the sportsman community kind of under one banner to start fighting the fight now, because with the understanding of it will be in your state one day if you don't go at it right now. So what we do is help spread the message, help break down the lies that are told, and bring about the facts on what is trophy hunting, what isn't trophy hunting. What is conservation? What are the laws that are currently in Colorado? Just spreading the truth about it so people have a more informed arsenal going into whatever level they're going to go into on this issue. And that has been, in the last 5 months, as far as the history and that I'm aware of, and Dan, who's been around for decades and decades, it's been historical. Like the impact, the unity, the fundraising, how far we've gone in such a short amount of time has really never been done before. And it has become a national issue. So a state issue is now, it's known by all 50 states. Fundraising has come in from all 50 states, and even from outside of the United States.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Because really it's people caring about wildlife management and conservation. That's really what's at stake here.
Hunting is a mechanism that creates wildlife success.
No, I agree.
Like, we take animals off the landscape, but we put back in so many resources, and it's managed in a way that, over the long haul, there's inflection points where we do over harvest or whatever, weather kills animals and whatnot. But over the long haul, hunting is a mechanism that drives wildlife success at the landscape level,
Absolutely.
at the ecosystem level. And people don't know that. But Charles, you're talking about like what we're doing with CRWM. We're informing people. But the other thing that we're doing that others don't do is we're telling people, you need to help. Like, we're not just saying, here's the information.
Yeah.
We're saying nationwide, we all need to take ownership of this. And we need you,
Yeah.
the past, current, future, or just aspirational Colorado hunter to participate with us and step in. And what we don't do when we say that, we're not saying donate to us, Howl For Wildlife. We're saying put your money where the one place is that it will be effective, and that's CRWM. And so, sure, we would love donations and grants and all that. And all the 501c3s that are in the conservation space have their lane that they work in. They've got lanes. We have a sandbox.
Okay.
And we want everybody in the sandbox. And when it's time to support somebody doing something that we can't do, we're going to tell people, go over there.
Go there.
Like, we're not just going to stand out and watch.
For sure.
We're going to direct people to that. And I think that's been a big trust builder for us, and it's also helps validate. Like, people, if they see CRWM talking, that's one thing. If they see others saying, go, let's go support, there's a validation component there.
For
It's
sure.
like, okay, this is real. Like, and now, I mean, we're talking about it with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dan Gates, CRWM, we've been able to talk to a lot of folks, and now, like, that ripple effect, the spread, the circle of people that know about this and are encouraged to support just gets broader and broader.
Yeah.
And it's working.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome. Also, for those that are listening, you can't see, I love that your
Yeah.
hat says hunting is human. I think that, and your sweatshirt, hunting
Yeah.
is human. One thing, I'm relatively new to hunting. I think I said that when I was over there and first met you guys. And for getting into it, one was for conservation aspect, and then for a more primal way of living, to be able to self-sustain on the land, on the food that I can grow, that I can hunt, and all of those things. And I think growing up, like, not that I had a bad perspective of hunting, but the kind of things that you hear people are say are it's killing. And maybe at the end of the day, that is
part of it.
The goal, and it is very much part of it, and I try to be very real about that. And I've spoken to a couple people before, like the first time I harvested a deer, I almost cried.
Oh, I did.
Because I recognized, like, I took a life at the end of the day. Like, whether it was a human or an animal, I took a life at the end of the day. And still to this day, I have this, like, thing that comes over me. Like, I recognize what I'm playing and the ecological system. I recognize the role that I have. And so I think that's such a cool thing that you guys are doing. How often, and maybe, do you have more people who are anti-hunters who are coming to you, or is it more of the hunting community who is like, how can we better spread what you guys are doing?
So, the official anti-hunters, no, because they are very agenda-driven, they are an industry. They're a fundraising mechanism that feeds off of lies and all that.
Yep.
Now, are there people who might think they're anti-hunting because they don't know any better? Are there people receptive to the truth and they're like, oh, I didn't know that. Like, I didn't know you could eat mountain lion. I didn't know a lot of people actually eat mountain lion. I also didn't know it was a law in Colorado that you had to take the meat from a mountain lion if you do kill. I kind of like to call it harvest, because if I'm killing something, that's like implying I'm leaving it.
I kill mice.
Kill mice. And I don't eat
Lots of them.
And I don't eat them. Right?
Yes.
So
Okay.
just definition wise, I don't really care about kill or harvest, but But speaking to the general public, I think it's important to use those words.
I'd agree.
Because they're not coming from our side. They weren't raised like me where I hunted all my life. I thought people always hunted. I didn't know people didn't hunt for like 12 years. Because it was just everybody around me. I'm like, wait, people don't hunt?
Yeah, you
like,
don't do this?
What do you mean?
We go to the supermarket.
Yeah. So there's a right way to speak to them. So I think to answer your question, are there people who aren't hunters in the general public who can and do and will support what hunting is because now they understand what management is, they understand conservation, the money that goes into it, they understand the food aspect, and the various things, certainly, 100%. Because nobody appreciates being lied to.
For sure.
And
right?
we're finding people, and they're finding us, we're finding them. The messages are resonating. There are non-hunters out there that are becoming activated to support hunting.
I've seen that as well.
And they get it. We know of multiple former vegetarians that now they eat meat. They eat the meat that they harvest or that their family harvests. And they're very connected to the primal aspect. They're connected to the food aspect, the food security, the health aspect of it. And they're good with it because that animal has lived its best life. It had one bad minute.
Yeah.
One bad hour, but it lived its best life. It was born to live on the landscape. It wasn't born to die. It was born to live. And they harvest it, and so we have, our message does resonate with non-hunters that are open to the message and learning more. A lot of people have been fed a line of thought that's been intentionally delivered to them to steer them away from supporting hunting. Our goal is to break through that and present, the counterpoint or the other side, or present the human side. You mentioned the hat, hunting's human, sweatshirt. Hunting is human is, it's not just a hat or a sweatshirt. So this year there will be a program of Howl's launched that is designed to, over the next 20 years, redefine the language of how hunting is perceived in the non-hunting mind, in the general population.
Yeah.
I have a vision where trophy hunting is actually held up by non-hunters as the most ecologically sustainable form of hunting there is. That if there's a truly challenged population of animals, the best way to recover it is through trophy hunting. Because you're putting in the most resources, you're buying tags, you're passing on animals, you're only taking that one oldest animal off the landscape. Because it's really selective. As Jason Matzinger, who right now is up talking about his movie Selective, it's selective, it's intentional selective hunting. Yeah. Where you're paying to participate, you're paying for the opportunity, and if you don't find that one iconic old animal, you go home empty-handed and you're okay because you've had a phenomenal experience.
For sure. I think that's great, and you bring up the point of trophy hunting, and so I started hunting in Texas, and to be honest, my idea of trophy hunting was you're out on this ranch for these like corn-fed bucks who have like very non-typical bucks, and people are paying thousands and thousands of dollars to do that, and my thought was like, because that's not why I got into this. Right. Why are people doing this? Like, is that, I don't consider that hunting. Right. But I didn't know true trophy hunting, you come out west, you're only going on mature animals, older animals, or maybe you recognize an animal is injured or something like that. So speak a little bit more to that, because like I think a lot of times when I meet people who are non-hunters, I don't know that I know anyone specifically who's anti-hunting, but I do know a lot of non-hunters. Yeah. And their thought is like, oh, if you're hunting just to put the biggest antlers on the wall, then what are you doing that for?
Yeah. I think there's a couple things. The system of hunting, where it's regulated by biologists for ecosystem success, the tag allocations are adjusted according to how many critters there are. We pay into it for the opportunity to hunt. Not we don't check out the cashier once we have the meat. Like we pay whether to just have the opportunity to go on the landscape and do this. So we pay in. There's economics. The numbers are managed in a way that's ecologically sustainable. that whole system is agnostic to what somebody's motivation is. One person could be out there for meat. The next person could be out there because they had a bet with their bro in the gym.
Absolutely,
dude, I can do this. Another person might be out there because they truly want to take the oldest animal off the landscape, or the one that's damaged. They want to take the one with the broken leg that's going to die from a predator anyways. So all these people can go out in this system with their own heart and soul, their own mindset. And it doesn't really matter what their motivations are. What matters is that the system works.
For sure.
If the system works, it doesn't matter what the motivations are. The anti-hunting industry has anchored onto this word trophy hunting because it becomes very personalized, very emotional.
For sure.
It's a trigger word. And it really, when you look at what they define it as, and what we often associate is, that's poaching. The idea that you go out, hack the hardware, hack off the antlers and leave the body, hack off the tusks of the elephant and leave the body. That is what really the bad side of that word really is. It's illegal. It's illegal globally.
It is, yeah.
And it's repulsive to all of us. All hunters, if that was what it is, would be repulsed by it. But they've changed the use of that word in the non-hunting space to where that's what people think of, we're doing, and then they apply it to us. So they apply it to individuals, and they start to get into what every individual's mindset is, when really if the system works, it doesn't matter what the individual's mindset is. It's the system is designed to work no matter what somebody's motivation is. Because if we're trying to control people's motivations, we get chaos and we get insanity, and it's never going to work. Because we all have different motivations.
Yeah.
I can't manage or become invested in or triggered by what Charles's motivations are to hunt. They're his.
For sure.
I just need to know that the system that enables Charles to go out and hunt works.
It's working.
Is
for
working.
Sure. I would agree. And and someone was kind of telling me about this not too long ago. Colorado specifically is trying to ban the hunting of mountain lions, but they're calling it trophy hunting, and that is ultimately in a way because they can use that language later on to include more animals to ban, and that it's smart on their part. I think we like to say that politicians are dumb, but they're really smart. They know what they're doing. What kind of effect does that have moving forward for not just Colorado, but hunting and everywhere?
If it were to pass?
Yeah.
Well, it sets a precedent on what, we ban trophy hunting here, and whatever propaganda we put out and lies we put out, that now in a sense becomes truth.
Okay.
Right? Because it's just misinformation. But if that's what people I voted on it to save the lions, and that's what I did. They can then, that trophy definition, you can put any species underneath of that. It could be elk or mule deer or ducks or turkey or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's what's really important, is to understand the motivations of the industry known as the anti-hunting movement. Right?
Yeah.
Their motivation is to end it all.
For sure.
And sometimes they let that out. Sometimes they show their cards to the fullest extent. And as recently as last year they did with a initiative that didn't go through. They're bringing it back for next year. But at the time it was called IP3. And it would be to end all hunting, all fishing, all breeding of livestock, or castration of livestock, all these things. They even called that sexual abuse. Or animal molestation, I can't remember what, but that's the end goal. Yeah. And what I mean end fishing and hunting is grandpa isn't going to take his grandson out fishing at the pond. That would be illegal. So that's really their end goal here. And they start with these simpler ideas. They start with the low-hanging fruit. They start with lions. Most people don't hunt lions. Very few people do. So a lot of it is I don't care about lions. I don't hunt them, so it's not really affecting me. Well, yes, it is, because they're going to come after you.
Right.
That's just the lowest,
fruit.
Yeah, exactly. They'll keep going. They'll want to cut the whole tree down, right? That's the goal. So that's why it's important, no matter what you hunt or how you hunt, or even if you don't hunt, to oppose a bill like this is to support the highly successful management system that we've had here in the United States for well over 100 years now.
And it's not just successful for hunters. It's not successful for us. it's
if you enjoy
successful.
wildlife.
It's successful for wildlife.
Yeah.
And that's
for
like
sure.
the what's in it for me. What's in it for me
Yeah.
for the non-hunter in Colorado. Say you're a trail runner and you get out before at dawn, sun's coming up and you're up there running 12,000 foot elevation.
Mountain lion.
And you're seeing mule deer, or mountain lion.
Yeah.
You're seeing mule deer, in velvet in July up on the mountain. Well, you take away the management of mountain lion through hunting as a mechanism.
But they're not there anymore.
You're not going to see as many mule deer.
Yeah, okay.
And the mountain lion population could double.
Mm-hmm.
You won't see more mountain lions. Mountain lions don't get seen.
Yeah.
They're good at being mountain lions. they are apex predators for a reason. They're silent, they're invisible,
They're deadly.
and they're deadly when they strike. And so if you say, "Oh, I'm out in the woods every year or every week, I go out, I'm mountain biking, I'm hiking, I'm rock climbing, I don't see mountain lions." They're there. They're seeing you. They're there. But the other critters that you're seeing that you do see are part of that ecosystem too. And if you like that, then you need to vote for what's been working for the last 60 years. And that is using management tools such as hunting to maintain a very successful population of 5,000 mountain lions on the landscape.
Which in 1963 there was like
200.
There was 200 mountain lion.
Yeah. So
Wow.
60
Yeah.
years of hunting. 60 years of
Yeah.
hunting. The mountain lion population has grown 25-fold while being hunted every year.
Right.
So it's not like
Yeah.
they're threatened.
At
We're
any
not
means,
going out
no.
there just slaying them all. They use the words, fanatical killers about the hunters. It's like there's no fanaticism. It's very methodical. It's very hard work. It's very cerebral. Like the work that goes into hunting there's an incredible mind. It's a
Yeah.
chess match.
For sure, I
It's
would
an
agree.
incredible puzzle or riddle that needs to be solved. And so they use these terms that paint this crazy picture that is only, it's mythical, or maybe it's in movies, but it's not real. Yeah.
And understanding some of the behind the scenes issues. So this was what I mean. In California, mountain lion hunting was banned. What was it, in the 70s? or-
Effectively the 70s and then kind of again in the 90s.
Right.
70s.
So the people who voted for that and the people who pushed that was, we are saving mountain lions, as if mountain lions aren't going to die anymore. Of course they're
They'll
going to
live
die.
forever, won't they?
Yeah.
They're immortal now.
Yeah, right. That's how that works.
Of course they're going to die, naturally or whatever,
Right.
disease or other predators or whatnot. Here's what's crazy is mountain lions still need to be managed, and they still needed to be managed, and they were still killed by humans. But it switched from where hunters were paying into the system, buying licenses, buying tags, going out to hunt mountain lion. Now, mountain lions are still an issue, right? They're still problem lions. And it's close to 4,000, I believe, that have been killed since the ban. But now taxpayers' dollars are paying the government contractors or Fish and Wildlife to go do that for them. But they don't know that. They don't know those lions are still being killed.
And those lions are thrown in the dump.
Yeah.
And they're wasted.
That had never even crossed my mind until I read something like exactly along those lines the other day. Was either you have hunters who are going out and managing the population, or your tax dollars are going towards someone else doing that, and that meat doesn't get eaten.
Yeah.
The hide doesn't get used for anything. It just goes straight to the trash. So then what now looks more
That's sad.
sustainable? Like, that's sad to
That's
think
sad.
about, that these animals are, that's just killing.
Right.
That's exactly what I don't think they realize they're trying to get rid of.
Well, and to go
and
back
what
to
they
the
think
trophy,
we're doing.
Go back to the trophy. Go back to the hide or the mount. The full mountain lion mount, stuffed mountain lion.
Yeah.
Go back to the antlers on the wall. That is people paying reverence,
Yes.
celebrating that animal. Like, the meat's gone, the story has been told. Now it's a story. That's our cave drawing. That's our relic. And why not have a trophy? We won the championship in 1988. I got a trophy.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
hell yeah.
Yeah.
I have the trophy. I'll talk about the story
Yeah.
too. But that trophy is a celebration of that animal.
Exactly.
100 times more important to do that. Neighbors come over, we barbecue. I tell that story about that animal. What happens to that lion that's killed by the state funded trapper? That's just a job. That's just a job, and they don't get paid until they kill it.
Yep.
We pay in for the opportunity to hunt, whether we harvest or not.
Yeah.
That animal now, the value on that animal is when it's dead, not when it's alive. And then it's thrown away. And so it's sad on all levels. That animal won't be talked about. That animal won't be observed by the neighbors. Like, so the trophy is the humans paying reverence to that animal and being able to celebrate it over and over and over again.
And I even
which is fascinating.
With even does, I'll try to keep the hide, tan the hide. What can I do with those kinds of things? And I know some people strictly like just want the meat, and that's okay too. But kind of to your point, it's being used versus otherwise we're just killing this animal and we're kind of tossing it to the curb.
Yeah.
I kind of want to touch on like the concept of ballot biology, which is where this is kind of stemming from, and you have anti-hunters who get into politics, and they're kind of making these decisions. Unfortunate for us. Kind of speak to, just for anyone who's listening, like kind of what ballot biology is, and then how, and kind of sounds like something what you guys are doing and what your goal is. How can we better get in to have a voice, to have an effect on that? Because we're not in politics, we're not the governor, we're not so and so. How can we have the best impact on that?
Well, ballot box biology is basically saying this. Here's what we have. We have wildlife experts whose careers are to study and research and give feedback and give quotas and population, you name it, on every single species that we have. Colorado has 261 species, something like that. I don't know what it is. It's a lot. And that's their job. And they are tasked to do the best job possible using scientific research, simply, right? Ballot box biology is saying that we don't care what the facts are. We don't care what the science says. We care about our feelings. And that's going to override the experts. And to put that in a different perspective, it would be as if we have doctors' boards, surgeons' boards, whatever, right? And instead of them making the best decision for brain surgery procedures, let's give that to the public. Who knows nothing about it? And what you hear about it, there's no litmus test for the truth at all. The people collecting signatures right now, I don't know what they're saying, but they can say whatever they want to gather that signature. And then they sign it thinking it's a good thing or whatever. Who knows what they've been told. And then that could effectively just change wildlife management, which is just out of the hands of the experts. Like it's so wild to even think that way, and for that to be a thing that we can do, because that's actually what's dangerous to wildlife. I think hunting saves wildlife
for sure
because of the system. That system that actually destroys wildlife. I know many of them don't. It's kind of a hard concept to understand, but again, and that's a part on us as ambassadors to hunting, is to educate the public so they understand that full circle system. Because that can be, and I recognize that. I appreciate that it can be difficult to understand how hunting can save. How does that save wildlife? You're killing things.
For sure.
You're killing the one, but you're working. You gotta like, just like you need to remove yourself from the motivation of the individual. Does the system work? You gotta remove yourself from the fact that one animal died. Does the system work? And all of these ecosystems, they work like on large level. They're systems. And so yes, I mean, you almost cried when you took that animal. It's an incredibly emotional moment for almost every hunter when they take an animal. The work that went into it is massive. Yeah. It's like crossing the finish line of a marathon. People fall apart completely, right? Yeah. Because you've got adrenaline, you've got energy, you've got mental commitment, you've got emotional commitment, you do all this stuff, then you hit that climax and you do it, and then, there's a dead animal in front of you, and now you have the burden, the responsibility of honoring that animal by taking care of it and getting the meat off, right? And so it's a very emotional moment, but the ecosystem works. We need to detach ourselves from worrying about that one animal and focus on the larger thing. You asked how do Coloradans get involved with ballot box biology? Or anyone. Yeah. So if something is being decided at a commission level, which is most states have a set of commissioners that are ideally they're making the decisions about wildlife management rules, regulations, and whatnot. You can contact your commission through email. You can show up in the commission setting for meetings on Zoom usually now, or in person. If it's in the legislative arena, senators, assembly members, legislature, state level or federal, you can again contact your electeds. You can show up sometimes in person and testify. Where Howl works, our like sweet spot is getting communications from people anywhere directly to those decision makers. When I say contact your electeds, it's like, what the hell does that mean? Like, how do I even do that, right? And where is that decision being made? Is my elected person even involved? Maybe they're not. And so we've distilled it out to where you don't have to go research who you need to find and how to get to them and talk to them. We've got our Action Center set up so you can contact them through the Action Center.
Okay.
It's incredibly efficient. Our fingerprint's not on it. So when that message comes through to that decision maker, it's not coming from Howl, it's coming from you.
Yeah.
And
Because it is.
Because it is coming from you. You sat down and you put your information and you hit send and you could also write your own message. It is coming from you. We don't want our organization's name on it because then they'll just bucket, oh, this is just those people.
That's what they're trying to do.
Just those people. We want it to be humans that care about this have sat down and taken time to say this is how we feel.
For sure.
Ballot box biology, our Action Center doesn't talk to the citizens of Colorado.
Yeah.
So those folks in Colorado, when it comes to ballot box biology, they are going to be the grassroots engine talking to their neighbors, their coworkers, the folks at church, the softball team, the folks at the gym, talking about what their value is, what their values are. Hey, did you hear about this thing? Yeah. It seems like it makes sense initially, but look at this. Like, lions they're awesome. They're not threatened. There's 5,000. Those people actually eat the meat. Did you know that? Oh, I didn't know that. You know, have this moment of discovery with as many people as you can to inform them that even though they may not want that one lion to die, if you want the system, the ecosystem to thrive, let the system work the way it is. And that's going to be grassroots communication with neighbors, coworkers, the people in your circle, talking to them, getting them out to vote, putting door hangers out. And it's also going to be funding. And this is where nationwide we come together to write a check for $50, $20, whatever we can do as hunters nationwide to fund CRWM so they can buy the billboards. So they can do the social media paid advertising. So they can put the TV ads on prime time in Denver, in Boulder, and get those messages out to the non-hunting voter who's really going to be the decision maker on this.
Yeah, and I think too, as much as I think even outside of hunting, people want to say that emotions aren't involved in politics. Emotions are very heavily involved in politics.
Emotions drive politics.
And so, like, to have that one person, and I'm going to play devil's advocate, but I also used to be this person before I was into hunting. Like, when I thought of politics, I'm one person. Like, what impact do I have as one person? If I send that letter, like, what am I even doing? And then I started honestly getting more involved in it through hunting and finding out about the things that like you guys in CRWM are doing. And emotion does heavily drive the decisions that they're making. So maybe I write that letter, and that's the letter that like really hit home with whoever read it, and that helps that. So I think a lot of times that and I've heard that from multiple people, the thought, and probably specifically like my age range is like, what I'm one person, what can I do to that?
But that one letter, if you express your value statement, it will if it strikes a chord with that decision maker, it might be your one letter.
Yeah, there could be thousands of them, and it was that one. Yeah, for sure.
So just to be clear, on ballot box, there's no legislators involved in that.
Okay.
It's just going to the citizens to vote on. So if they get the signatures, that means it qualifies to go on to the ballot. And then November 4th, when you go to vote for everybody, you'll also see this proposition on there to ban trophy hunting, to ban mountain lions. And every single person who goes to vote, it's another issue. It's going to vote yes or no there.
You got to go to vote.
For sure.
Now, when you said I'm just one person, this happens a lot, I think, in every community, but we're paying attention to the hunting community, so we definitely know it happens in the hunting community. Oftentimes we are defeatists. Like, we're not going to win that.
Yeah.
We're just, they got it this far. There's no way we're going to win that. So, with Proposition 114, which was to bring in additional wolves into Colorado, decided by the public, right, with no management. That was lost or won, however you want to look at it. But the decision to bring the wolves in was decided upon by 1.6% difference, something like that.
Less than
33,000 votes. There was roughly, maybe more, but I know it's at least 130,000 sportsmen who were registered voters who did not vote. So the win for the defeatists out there and the people who say my voice doesn't count, my one email or vote or whatever doesn't count.
It was in our hands. It was in our hands.
It was in our hands.
But we didn't vote.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow,
So-
that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. Huge. So for this, if it does go to the ballot, for anyone listening in Colorado, are you registered to vote? And if you are, your vote counts. I mean, you proved it whether you voted or not.
For sure.
It was proven in 2020 that your vote counts one way or the other.
Absolutely.
So it's very important to understand that. There aren't legislators to write about this. You can't call them and complain. It's the system in Colorado that anybody, you could have a ballot initiative that says, I don't want anybody drinking Diet Pepsi after 10 p.m. Like, you could actually, probably won't get the signatures, but,
but you could do that.
You could put
attempt.
that on
For
there.
sure.
You could
Yeah.
attempt it. Yeah.
You could attempt
so
it.
it's important to understand the difference there. This isn't a legislative action.
The other part about that 1 to 2% that the Wolf Initiative was decided by is when you're at your gym, when you're at your work, when you're talking to your neighbor, if you can get 2 other people to go from undecided or not sure or just uninformed, if you get 2 or 3 people to be like, oh yeah, I'll vote against that. Like I trust you. I trust what you're saying to me, and I don't care really one way or the other, but I care about you, so I'm going to vote along with you. Like, that's a lot of the people that are going to vote on this really don't care.
Yeah, no, you're right.
They're going to make a quick initial. They're
Yeah,
going
they're
to
just,
make
like,
a
checking it off as
quick
they're there.
emotional decision. Does it make sense? Does it affect
Yeah.
them? Yeah, I'm sure. I want to save mountain lions. So they're going to be uninformed. They're going to have this emotional decision. If they know somebody that they relate to, that they trust, that they value that relationship, they value your position, they'll vote just because they want to support you. And so we have to get out and start and talk to the community, talk to our circle of influence, and let them know how we feel about it. Because some people will vote against this just because you ask them to. And that's important. And it's so contrary to hunters. I hunt solo. Like, I get into my hunting mindset to not be involved with people.
For sure. Yeah.
And that is so
and
common.
so many people do, yeah.
And that is our space. That is our space. We don't want to, we do so much of what we do to not
Be around
engage
people.
with people.
For sure.
So that's where we need to step outside of our comfort zone. But just talk to people. Just say, hey, this is on the thing. It's really important. I'd really love to have you. And then if they ask questions, then talk about it more. But plant those seeds in your community so people around you know that they know somebody who cares about this, and it needs to be a no vote.
And so for maybe any hunters who are listening who want to have a voice, who want to be that one person who votes or sends that letter or whatever, how would you recommend, maybe whether it's starting the conversation with a friend or like sending that letter? Because like I said, I think I meet a lot of people kind of specifically in my age range, like younger folks, or whether they're just like newer to hunting or so whatever that is, who don't want to, or whether it's afraid to, or maybe the mindset that I talked about of like, what's it gonna matter if I do anything? What do you recommend those folks to do? How do you kind of start that conversation?
The power of social media, man.
Yeah.
Hey,
Tell
look
your
at this.
story.
Hey, look
Tell
at
your
this.
story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tell your story. Change the narrative. We have to understand that we are the minority.
Okay.
And probably always have been. Hunting has always been around, but not everybody hunted in the tribes, and not everybody was a hunter, right?
Yeah.
But certainly today, we are the minority. We have to understand that. So it's very important for us to tell the story,
Absolutely.
not just show the kill.
Yep.
I got nothing. I don't care about that. It doesn't bother me, but because I know what the kill means. But I'm not everybody else out there, and you aren't.
Yeah.
So the general public, we got to understand, it has come to the point, like it or not, that is our audience in one way or the other, used against us or used for us because of social media. And we're not getting rid of social media. and because of TV. We're not getting rid of TV. So tell your story. When you go hunt, share that experience and tell it from A to Z the best that you can.
Yeah.
That goes a long, long ways. We run campaigns where we just collect stories so we can pay to advertise that out into the general public, right? Because those stories are really important, and we know it connects with people, and it's also a story they haven't seen before, because we're really bad at that. We're really good at, if you turn on hunting television, showing kill shots, right? We get 22 minutes and it's 30, but the audience can be anybody. And when you have the anti-hunting industry out there picking out the worst of the worst, building entire multi-million-dollar campaigns, putting the spotlight on the worst of the worst, well, we have a reality we need to face.
And I've even, in the topic of social media, like as I got into hunting and everyone wants to post their grip and grin and all of that, and because I know, like I have people who think that that's just wild and that you're going out there and killing exactly is what they think it is, and I'm not doing anything with it. I was so hesitant to even post about it, and I shouldn't be, because like you said, put it out there, tell your story. Obviously, maybe the way in which you take the picture can also be part of the story. Like, does it look like you're truly honoring the animal, or is it really just a grip and grin right there? And not that there's anything wrong with those, right? But I was so even hesitant to like post about that.
But you're hesitant because you've been told.
For sure. Groomed by
you've been groomed to be fearful of people's reaction to that.
Yeah.
And that's what's wild. One thing that I think helps, so I'm also a newer hunter. Yeah. I've been hunting 7 years now.
Nice.
So started late in life. I was not a very successful hunter the first 4 years. And so my social network community, they saw a lot of scouting. They saw a lot of hiking.
What is he actually doing?
They saw a lot of trail camera pictures, which showed wildlife. Yeah. So like, wow, Mike's really into wildlife. He's doing a lot of work to like see all these animals. So they saw this really tedious, long journey building up to the first harvest, kill, success.
Yeah.
And so I laid this platform of it's really freaking hard. It's very involved. I'm committed to it. I'm putting miles in. Yeah. I'm spending money. I'm studying habitat. I'm studying wildlife. So they saw this journey of work and ethic and attempts and complication and failure.
Yeah.
So that once I got to my first successful hunt, they're like, yeah. Like, dude, you have been working your butt off for that. If I had been silent on the whole thing, and then all of a sudden I'm holding a dead bear, they'd be like, huh?
Yeah, where
did this come from?
For sure, yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah.
You know? And so I think that's part of it is if we can bring people along the journey, even and the failures even. Yeah. We talk to people. We have this thing now because we've been to 4 or 5 events in the last few months. We get in a lift or an Uber. And, what are you guys in town for? Oh, we're here for this Hunt Expo, this event. Oh yeah, I heard what's going on with that. What's it all about? So we start talking about it. And they ask questions, and we're like, yeah, hunting, and there's it's so regulated. It's very regulated. There's biologists that set quotas, and in 17 minutes driving across town, this person has a completely new understanding of the framework that is the hunting and conservation system in North America, and they know things about it. That now when they hear that anti-hunting industry slogan, they're going like, you're lying to me. Yeah. Like, why are you lying to me? What's your agenda if you're lying to me? I just talked to these people here, and it's much different than that. So I think bringing people along the journey, the scouting, the wildlife, the game cameras, show people that you're invested in the riddle, the puzzle of it, and the wildlife. Yeah, for sure. And then when you have that moment of success, they've got the backstory. Yeah. And they're with you. Yeah, that's something that I try to do, and I'm very open about talking about on my podcast and social media. Like, I had 3 tags this September and didn't fill a single one of them. Oh. But, that's normal. I think people, because of social media, they see everyone's harvesting it. I like to use the word harvesting as well, but they see everyone's killing an animal. They see it's so easy. You go out there, you find that animal, you kill it. When, but people, and this plays into the storytelling, people don't recognize. I know people who have hunted Colorado 5 years and have not harvested an elk yet, but they're working their asses off to try to do that. So to see, like you said, people saw that whole story, they saw the whole lead up to that, they probably have a whole new
at least I'm thinking, like, level of respect for, like, okay, that was hard.
They do. I think you're absolutely right. Because that's the feedback I've gotten from people in that social media world that didn't know me as a hunter. I get that feedback multiple times a year. Like, hats off to you, Mike. You know, I don't hunt. I see how you do this. I see what your approach is. I get it.
Yeah.
And I support you.
That's awesome.
And so I think the more we can, whether you've been hunting for your whole life or you're new to it, I think showing more than just that trophy.
For sure.
Showing more than just that one moment builds context and it builds relatability.
Yes,
and I think
agree.
more than ever people are hungry for relatability. Like,
for
that's what ties us together now.
And I think COVID brought that out for sure.
Millennials.
Yep.
You know, but it's true. Like,
Yeah.
you look at the generationally, like I think it was millennials, are very hungry for relatability.
For sure. I agree.
That is one of the number one things. And so I think building that is super important.
Yeah, I would agree. We're coming up on about an hour here.
Cool.
I typically end all of my episodes, and I know you're not well versed in the podcast, and that's okay. It's still new. But I play on the title of it, Wild Strength. And so I'll ask both of you, what does wild strength mean to you? And you can take it quite literally to mean like brute strength, or you can I've had quite a few people expand it out to like a mental health perspective. And so maybe even tie it into what you guys are doing with however you want to approach it. But I'll start with you, Mike. What does wild strength mean to you? Or what do you think when you hear that?
Yeah, well, I'll go to my mule deer hunt this year in California. I hunt alone almost exclusively. And I like the high mountain elevation, 9,000 foot range in California. And so there was a point in time where I was packing out from a successful hunt in the dark, like, I don't know, 90-pound pack, a lot for me. And I was in a pace where there's no other options. My only options were the next step forward.
Yeah.
And it sucked.
Yeah.
It sucked. It absolutely was brutal. But there's no easy button. There's no ejection button. And at that point, it was going to be physical, mental, just get through it. And we don't get a lot of that in our day-to-day lives right now.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that is something that is important for everybody to get more of. And in that moment, I was just like, this really sucks, but I have no choice. And it was the choice I wanted. I have to take that next step.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what is attractive to me about hunting. To be prepared for that, you do have to challenge yourself mentally and physically throughout the year, though.
Yeah.
And so I think for wild strength, I think one of the things about hunting that's important is putting yourself out in the natural world. Often, and we all have different limits.
Yeah.
Your limits may be different than mine, and mine are different than Charles's. But getting out there in the natural world and testing your mental and physical strength, whatever that limit is, approaching that line
for sure
is a really healthy thing.
Yeah, I always say, like, getting out and doing something hard, right? Because it's hard whether you see an animal or not. It's challenging, and then you throw some extra weight on there once you get to harvest one, and it makes it even harder. So, like, get outside of your comfort zone, get into your natural elements, and do something hard. And that relates to, like, so many aspects of life, not just hunting. You always leave that hunt like, wow, I took something away from that more than what I thought I would. Charles, what does wild strength mean to you?
Here's my rough draft. I quite literally get strength, motivation, ideas, peace, perspective, adventure from being in the wild.
Same.
So I go there not just for food, not just for the adventure. I go there because it really does clear my mind.
Absolutely.
It really does kind of settle me a bit and bring me back to something I'm just a little more comfortable with. That's where I'm comfortable. I really don't like people.
There's two of us.
I really don't like events like this.
Yeah,
like,
three of us.
I do a lot of faking. Out there, I can just be myself.
Yeah.
You know? So I quite literally come back renewed, and I have to go back to it often.
Frequently.
I mean, it's my childhood. It's my relationship with my dad and my grandpa and my brothers. Like, even if they're not alive anymore, I go there and it's like I'm back there. You
Yeah.
know? So I get the strength from the wild.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
And where can people where can they find you guys if they want to support? What's the best way to support?
Howlforwildlife.org is the website. We do most of our social media on Instagram,
Okay.
howl_org. And as Mike mentioned, we will have the Hunting is Human campaign, which will probably be our most impactful program that we ever have, because the purpose of that is reaching the non-hunting public, and that's where the battle is won and lost, right? That's the swing vote. But all howl_org on Instagram and howlforwildlife.org. I think I skipped over. Mike, you never introduced yourself.
Yeah, no, it's all right.
Who cares what Mike is? You want to give a brief introduction? Totally fine.
I just fly in and
I found out
just
like at
fly
the end
in
of the
and
podcast
drop
that you're a
in.
new hunter, and I'm like, oh, well, that would have been cool
who
to
is that
know.
guy?
Right.
Yeah, so I'm a new hunter. I'm in California also.
Okay.
My Instagram handle is Hunting Ain't Easy. Every once in a while I'll have a podcast on Hunting Ain't Easy. I'm sporadic there, but yeah, I don't know. I'm passionate about the fact that every human descends from hunters. And we can look to, populations of the last, say, 200 to 500 years and say those are the people with hunting heritage or whatnot. But really, I ask the question, like, if you could look at a group of people and say they don't have hunting heritage, it's like, why? It's because it was stripped away from them by people of power 1,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago. And so that's where I'm like, we all at some point do descend from hunters. I think the fact that, most, what do you call it, clan, tribe, family, village, whatever, there were hunters in that group. Not everybody hunted, but there were hunters in that group. And they did things that others didn't do. And that's okay. And that's where we are today. And so the thing that I really that I ground on with why this is important is that hunting is human. Hunting is beneficial, especially when it's regulated. We've got 8 billion people on the planet right now. Like, we do need to have structure. And so we can actually create better habitat for more wildlife through this system. And I just think that that's where we all need to align, and we need to help educate and inform kids, adults, everybody that's not in that space. Doesn't mean we're recruiting them to it, but get them to relate to it and understand that if you love wildlife and you love habitat, then this is actually a great mechanism system to help.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Folks, if you're listening, go check them out on Instagram. Go find their website. I've been following them actually for a little bit, and if there's anything I can do to help support you guys as well, please let me know. I'm like I said, as a new hunter, really putting myself out there for all aspects. And I think what you are doing is incredible for not just me, but for so many other people as well. So it's been great to have you guys on here.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Great to meet you, too.
Fantastic.
Yes, great to meet you.